Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, let's not fool ourselves. The Pope is dying. His hospital stay is now suspiciously long for his old age. The news about his medical condition conspicuously sanitized. But I say this not in a vindictive or cynical manner, although I certainly struggle about this due to how bad his papacy was overall. But there is absolutely an atmosphere of worry, anticipation, and perhaps animosity because of Pope Francis's mixed legacy, to put it charitably. Basically, I'm saying this in order for all of you to be informed about my personal sentiments regarding this 2 week long, or actually it's more than 2 week long hospitalization for the Pope. And it really is concerning. The past few weeks have been tough for Catholics around the world. While it is a joyous time due to the Church celebrating a Jubilee year in 2025, Francis's hospitalization due to his chronic respiratory issues is bittersweet news for pilgrims and tourists in Rome. But let's not forget how the current papacy disenfranchised traditionalists, especially with the promulgation of Traditionis Custodes, which is basically the motto proprio that negated Summorum Pontificum. Some of these traditionalists dismiss the current medical drama as the final chapter of Francis's life, and this is a plausible argument given his age and condition. Come to think of it, he's already in his 80s and has been dealing with chronic respiratory issues all his life. So, whatever happens, it's gonna get worse, sadly, because we are frail human beings. However, the silence of a few of them, or a visible and virtual deflection from the topic, perhaps due to the same disenfranchisement of this papacy, is absolutely deafening. Also, as I am writing this, the script for this video, reports have been trickling in about the Pope discussing with cardinals about the Vatican's finances immediately prior to his hospitalization. Whether Francis's respiratory bout was a direct result of this controversial matter that forced his predecessor, the late Pope Benedict XVI of blessed memory, to resign the throne of St. Peter remains to be seen. And as the common adage goes, the plot thickens. But hey, that's just a theory, a conspiracy theory. Sorry, Pat, I have to say that line. And don't even get me started with the geopolitical and diplomatic landmine the Holy See has been dealing in recent decades. Let's not get started with that. Geopolitics is already complicated enough, especially with Volodymyr Zelensky's latest trip to Washington, where he had a difficult discussion with Donald Trump at the Oval Office. So yeah, that's how complicated the geopolitical situation of the world in general actually is. Let's not get started with that. And also, let's not forget how the Church under Francis was so soft in matters that seemed to undermine the ethos of the faith, yet he and his orbiters cracked down on what is uncompromisingly good, beautiful, and true. Remember, alienating people who only wanted to preserve a common sense and promote the common good, and in this case maintain the traditional liturgy of the Church as a vital aspect of the faith, runs the risk of them becoming the most annoying of curmudgeons and the most bitter of cynics. Now, when pushback is felt among those being tormented by a movement that seems to promote dictatorship in the guise of tolerance and diversity, or in this case, the spirit of ambiguous dialogue in the name of ecumenism, it only means the camel's back has already been broken after an unbearable amount of straws brought upon it. But I would like to stress this, and I cannot stress this enough. This is not the time to bicker and say,
well, it looks like God is displeased with him.
Even if it is true, and especially if it is true. But rather, this is the time for Catholics like me to be on our knees and pray for the Pope. Whether it is for his full recovery, which is slowly becoming unlikely as days go by, or for the grace of a happy and holy death, as the church always recommends for those who pray for people who are in hospital in a critical condition and those who are already on their deathbeds. I would just like to say that the Pope's condition is surprisingly recovering. Thanks be to God. I do not wish him ill, of course. Nobody in his right mind would wish someone ill, especially when they are in hospital. Of course, our common sense and our common humanity dictates that we have to, we really have to pray and pray for the person who is sick and make sure that we wish him well. So yeah, that's just common for people like us. Now, as I said, this is a time for all of us to be on our knees to pray for the Pope, whether it is for a full recovery, hopefully it is, or for his happy and holy death, because we really want him to go to heaven. Everybody wants him to go to heaven, even traditionalists. This has been what other traditionalists are doing in the silence of their hearts. And you know what? I am basically let's just say I basically appreciate it as someone who has been empathetic with the traditionalist cause, because there are some traditionalists who are wearing tinfoil hats outside church. I can that's the best thing I can say that but not everyone is like that. Not every traditionalist is like that. And thanks be to God, a majority of them are praying for the Pope at this time. And not only is it credit where credit is due, I appreciate the fact that they are doing this because they see the current health scare as an opportunity to show the world they can still turn the other cheek. And we can only look at Cardinal Raymond Burke, who has been in attendance every night since his fellow cardinals and other Catholics gathered at St. Peter's Square to pray the rosary for the Pope's recovery. He has absolutely been smeared by the current papacy, and many of Burke's supporters and other traditionalists cried foul over the apparent persecution Francis did against him. But his character in recent days of showing up to pray for the Pope, especially because of what happened to him, brings us all, whether we are traditionalists or not, to utter shame. Perhaps the fact that this scenario is brewing up as the church begins to observe Lent should be a reminder for Catholics like us, or like me, to reconsider their spiritual state and use this as an opportunity to practice their faith more than ever before, perhaps more fervently than during the 2020 pandemic. This current news cycle should also remind everyone in the world to retain a sense of decency and civility in discussing matters like the Pope's physical health juxtaposed with the moral health of the church and the world in general, and basically every other difficult discussion. So, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, let's not just present our arguments. We also need to present our humanity too. So this is basically the lesson of this recent development from Rome. In short, while it is important to discuss the bad and the ugly, let us not dwell in it and forget whatever genuine good that came along the way. Because yes, the Pope is dying. We have to face that fact. He's already in his late 80s, and he's been in hospital for far too long, and we must prepare for the inevitable no matter how long it may take, including preparing for a conclave. But at the same time, we should also not overthink it, okay? I've been an overthinker for the longest time in my life, and you know what? if there's a lesson to be learned regarding this health scare about the Pope, it's for us not to overthink regarding what happens next. I know that some of the people who are into geopolitics would overthink about things, and perhaps it's very much a good trait to be a geopolitics enthusiast. But at the same time, this should also remind us to take stock of our moral and spiritual health as much as we are concerned with Francis's physical one in the spirit of genuine charity. And as I said earlier, Lent is coming. I am recording this on the Monday before Ash Wednesday, and this is whatever is happening right now in Rome. This is basically every Catholic's assignment for Lent this year, to take stock of our moral and spiritual health, and this includes myself first and foremost. In conclusion, let's pray for Pope Francis. As much as we need prayers for ourselves, he also needs prayers as well. He has always been asking for the prayers of the church ever since he got elected 12 years ago. And as much as we are disappointed with what he has done, we must not fail him now.